Picture this. It's 2019, and Elon Musk confidently declares that Tesla will have 1 million robotaxis on the road by 2020. Fast forward to 2025, and while Musk's predictions have become internet memes, Waymo's white SUVs are quietly cruising through San Francisco, Phoenix, and Los Angeles, picking up passengers like it's no big deal. Meanwhile, Tesla's full self-driving beta is still asking drivers to keep their hands on the wheel. If that's not a tech industry plot twist worthy of a Netflix series, I don't know what is. Welcome to the ultimate David versus Goliath story of autonomous vehicles. Except David might actually be the giant corporation backed by Google's parent company Alphabet, and Goliath might be the scrappy electric car company that somehow convinced the world it was already living in the future. Buckle up, because we're about to dive into the most entertaining tech rivalry since Apple versus Microsoft, complete with broken promises, regulatory nightmares, and enough plot twists to make your head spin faster than a Tesla doing a burnout. Let's start with the fundamental difference that makes this rivalry so deliciously dramatic. Tesla's approach to autonomous driving is like that overconfident friend who insists they can parallel park using only their side mirrors. Bold, risky, and occasionally spectacular in failure. Elon Musk has bet the farm on a camera-only system, arguing that if humans can drive with just 2 eyes, cars should be able to do it with 8 cameras. It's elegant, it's cheap, and it's exactly the kind of contrarian thinking that makes Musk either a genius or completely insane, possibly both. Waymo, on the other hand, is like your ultra-prepared friend who brings a GPS, paper maps, a compass, and asks 3 locals for directions before making a single turn. Their vehicles are equipped with LiDAR, light detection and ranging, radar, cameras, and enough sensors to make a NASA rover jealous. While Tesla's cars look sleek and minimalist, Waymo's vehicles look like they're cosplaying as a disco ball from the future. The LiDAR unit spinning on top of each Waymo vehicle costs more than most people's annual car payments, but it creates a detailed 3D map of the environment that would make a video game developer weep with envy. The philosophical divide runs deeper than just hardware. Tesla believes in the scale advantage, the idea that by putting millions of cameras on the road through their existing fleet, they can collect more data than anyone else and use machine learning to solve autonomous driving through sheer computational brute force. It's like trying to become a chess grandmaster by playing millions of games against beginners. Waymo, meanwhile, takes the perfectionist approach, extensively mapping specific areas, testing every scenario repeatedly, and only expanding when they're absolutely certain their system can handle it. It's like becoming a chess grandmaster by studying every possible move with a team of experts before ever sitting down to play. If Tesla's approach to autonomous driving promises were a dating profile, it would claim to be a rocket scientist, billionaire, and part-time astronaut who definitely isn't lying about their age. Elon Musk has made autonomous driving predictions with the confidence of someone who's never heard of Murphy's Law. In 2014, he said full autonomy was probably within 3 years. In 2016, he demonstrated a Tesla driving itself from Los Angeles to New York, a trip that was supposed to happen in 2017 but never did. In 2019, he promised 1 million robotaxis by 2020. Each missed deadline was followed by a new, even more ambitious promise, creating a cycle of hype that would make a carnival barker blush. The most entertaining part? Musk's justifications for why each deadline was missed. Sometimes it was because the technology was harder than expected. Shocking. Sometimes because they were being extra cautious. Tesla and cautious in the same sentence? And sometimes because they were actually developing something even better than originally promised, the classic overachiever excuse. It's like watching someone explain why they're late to every appointment. The excuses get more creative, but the pattern remains frustratingly consistent. Waymo, meanwhile, has been the tortoise to Tesla's hare, making fewer grand pronouncements but steadily expanding their actual commercial service. They started with a pilot program in Phoenix in 2017, expanded to paying customers in 2018, and have been slowly but surely adding new cities and improving their service. While Tesla has been promising coast-to-coast autonomous trips, Waymo has been quietly perfecting the art of getting passengers from point A to point B without human intervention. It's the difference between promising to revolutionize transportation and actually transporting people. Tesla's camera-only approach is undeniably impressive from an engineering standpoint. Their neural networks can identify objects, predict behavior, and navigate complex scenarios using only visual input. The system has to interpret depth, distance, and motion from 2D images, which is like trying to understand a 3D movie while wearing a blindfold over one eye. When it works, it's genuinely magical. Watching a Tesla navigate a construction zone or merge onto a busy highway using only cameras feels like witnessing actual artificial intelligence in action. But here's where it gets spicy. Tesla's system sometimes fails in ways that are both hilarious and terrifying. The internet is filled with videos of Tesla vehicles phantom braking for overpass shadows, getting confused by cardboard cutouts, or trying to drive under semi-trucks. These failures happen because cameras alone can struggle with depth perception, especially in challenging lighting conditions, or when encountering objects that don't fit neatly into their training data. It's like trying to navigate the world using only Instagram photos. Most of the time you'll figure it out, but occasionally you'll walk into a glass door. Waymo's sensor-rich approach eliminates many of these edge cases, but creates new challenges. LiDAR works beautifully in clear weather, but can struggle with heavy rain, snow, or fog, conditions where cameras might actually perform better. The multiple sensor types create redundancy and accuracy, but also complexity. Imagine trying to make a decision when you have 5 friends all giving you different advice simultaneously. Most of the time, the collective wisdom leads to better outcomes, but occasionally, the system becomes paralyzed by conflicting information. The cost difference is staggering. Tesla's camera system costs roughly $1,000 per vehicle, while Waymo's full sensor suite costs tens of thousands of dollars. This means Tesla can potentially deploy autonomous vehicles at scale much more affordably, but only if their camera-only system actually works reliably. Waymo's expensive sensors make their vehicles incredibly capable, but potentially too expensive for widespread consumer adoption. It's the classic trade-off between cutting-edge performance and mass-market accessibility. The regulatory landscape for autonomous vehicles is like a complex board game where the rules keep changing, and half the players are making up their own rules as they go. Tesla has taken the ask for forgiveness, not permission approach, deploying their full self-driving beta to paying customers while clearly stating that the system requires constant human supervision. It's like selling someone a self-flying airplane that still requires a pilot to keep their hands on the controls at all times. Legally clever? Absolutely. Ethically questionable? You decide. This approach has created a fascinating situation where Tesla customers are essentially paying to be test subjects for an unfinished autonomous driving system. The company has framed this as revolutionary and cutting edge, but critics argue it's essentially crowdsourcing safety testing on public roads. Every Tesla with FSD enabled is collecting data and encountering edge cases that help improve the system, but it also means that random commuters might encounter experimental autonomous vehicle behavior during their morning drive to work. Waymo, conversely, has gone through the proper regulatory channels, obtaining permits, conducting extensive testing, and working with local authorities before launching their services. Their approach is more conservative, but also more transparent about capabilities and limitations. When you get into a Waymo vehicle, you know exactly what you're getting: a fully autonomous ride with no human driver required. The trade-off is that Waymo's expansion has been much slower, limited to specific geographic areas where they've received regulatory approval. Riding in a Tesla with full self-driving engaged is like being on a first date with someone who's really confident, but occasionally makes concerning decisions. Most of the time, the experience is smooth and impressive. The car handles lane changes, navigation, and traffic with remarkable competence. But then suddenly it might phantom brake for a shadow, get confused by a construction zone, or make an uncomfortably aggressive merge that has you reaching for the wheel. The system requires constant vigilance from the human driver, creating a paradox where you're simultaneously experiencing the future of transportation and being reminded that the future isn't quite ready yet. The psychological impact of this semi-autonomous experience is fascinating. Tesla drivers report feeling simultaneously amazed by the technology and stressed by the need to constantly monitor it. It's like having a teenage driver who's generally responsible but occasionally makes decisions that remind you why they still need supervision. The cognitive load of supervising an autonomous system can actually be more mentally taxing than just driving yourself, creating a situation where the convenience feature might actually be more work than the traditional approach. Waymo's experience is the complete opposite, boringly perfect. Passengers report that riding in a Waymo vehicle feels remarkably similar to being driven by a very cautious, very skilled human driver. The car accelerates smoothly, brakes gradually, and makes conservative but safe decisions. The experience is so unremarkable that it's actually remarkable. The technology has advanced to the point where full autonomy feels mundane rather than magical. Some passengers even report feeling slightly disappointed by how normal the experience feels, having expected something more futuristic. Tesla's business model for autonomous driving is like a subscription service for the future. You pay today for technology that might be fully functional tomorrow. The company has sold hundreds of thousands of full self-driving packages, generating billions in revenue for a feature that still requires human supervision. It's simultaneously brilliant and audacious, like selling tickets to a concert that might happen someday, featuring a band that's still learning to play their instruments. The financial implications are staggering. Tesla has essentially created a revenue stream from promiseware, collecting payment upfront for functionality that's delivered incrementally over time. This approach has funded their autonomous driving research and development while creating a committed customer base that's financially invested in the technology's success. However, it's also created a growing group of customers who feel they've paid for a finished product but received a beta test. Waymo's business model is more traditional but potentially more sustainable. They're actually providing autonomous transportation services and charging per ride. Their revenue comes from delivered value rather than promised value, which is both more honest and more immediately verifiable. However, the high cost of their sensor systems means they need to charge premium prices and operate in high-density areas to be profitable. It's the difference between selling lottery tickets and running a casino. One promises big payouts someday, the other provides immediate, if modest, returns. Tesla's data collection advantage is often cited as their secret weapon, but it's more complicated than it appears. Yes, Tesla has millions of vehicles on the road collecting driving data, but much of that data is from human drivers, not autonomous systems. It's like trying to learn to paint by watching millions of people hold paintbrushes. You'll learn something, but you won't necessarily learn how to paint. The quality and relevance of the data matters as much as the quantity. Waymo's data collection is more limited in scope, but potentially more valuable for autonomous driving development. Every mile driven by a Waymo vehicle is a mile of actual autonomous driving experience with detailed sensor data about how the system performed in real-world conditions. It's like the difference between watching a million people attempt to juggle versus watching 1,000 professional jugglers perform. The smaller data set might actually be more useful for learning advanced techniques. The data privacy implications are also fascinating. Tesla customers are essentially volunteering their driving data to help improve the company's autonomous driving systems, often without fully understanding the scope of data collection. Waymo's data collection is more transparent, but also more limited to specific use cases and geographic areas. Both approaches raise questions about data ownership, privacy, and the value exchange between users and technology companies. As of 2025, the autonomous driving landscape looks nothing like what either company promised 5 years ago. Tesla's Robotaxi network remains a PowerPoint presentation masquerading as a product roadmap. The company continues to sell full self-driving packages and promises imminent Robotaxi capability. But the reality is that their system still requires human supervision and intervention. It's like promising to deliver a self-cooking meal but providing ingredients and a recipe instead. Waymo, meanwhile, has quietly become the most successful autonomous vehicle company in terms of actual commercial operation. They're providing tens of thousands of fully autonomous rides per week in multiple cities, with plans for continued expansion. Their success is less flashy than Tesla's promises, but more substantive in terms of actual transportation services delivered. It's the difference between being the most talked about restaurant in town and being the restaurant that consistently serves good food. The irony is delicious. The company that promised to revolutionize transportation has become primarily a car company that sells electric vehicles, while the company that made more conservative promises has actually revolutionized transportation in specific markets. Tesla's impact on the electric vehicle industry has been transformative, but their autonomous driving promises have largely remained promises. Waymo's impact has been more limited geographically, but more complete technologically. Predicting the future of autonomous driving is like trying to predict the weather in a climate that's constantly changing, but the current trajectories suggest some interesting possibilities. Tesla's camera-only approach might eventually succeed through brute force machine learning and continuous improvement, but it's equally possible that the approach has fundamental limitations that can't be overcome without additional sensors. The company's track record of missed deadlines doesn't inspire confidence in their timeline predictions, but their engineering capabilities shouldn't be underestimated. Waymo's measured approach suggests they understand the complexity of autonomous driving better than their competition. But their high costs and limited geographic expansion raise questions about scalability. They've proven that full autonomy is technically possible, but haven't yet proven that it's economically viable at scale. Their partnership with automotive manufacturers for hardware production could potentially solve the cost problem, but it also introduces new complexity and dependencies. The most likely scenario is that both approaches will find their niches. Tesla's system might become the standard for highway driving and simple urban scenarios, while Waymo's approach dominates complex urban environments and premium services. The autonomous driving future probably won't be winner take all, but rather a diverse ecosystem of different technologies serving different use cases. The Tesla versus Waymo rivalry has become automotive entertainment precisely because it represents two fundamentally different approaches to innovation. Tesla embodies the move fast and break things philosophy of Silicon Valley, while Waymo represents the measure twice, cut once approach of traditional engineering. Both approaches have merit, but they create dramatically different user experiences and public perceptions. Elon Musk's role as Tesla's chief hype officer has turned autonomous driving development into a form of performance art. His predictions and promises generate massive media attention and public interest, creating a feedback loop where each missed deadline becomes part of the entertainment value, rather than a simple business failure. It's like watching a magician who keeps promising to saw someone in half, but only manages to give them a small cut. The audience keeps waiting for the big reveal. Waymo's success, while more substantial, is also more boring from an entertainment perspective. There's something inherently less exciting about steady progress than dramatic promises. Their approach doesn't generate viral tweets or memes, but it does generate actual autonomous vehicle miles and satisfied customers. It's the difference between a blockbuster movie and a critically acclaimed documentary. One gets more attention, but the other might have more lasting impact. So there you have it. The ultimate showdown between Tesla's camera-powered dreams and Waymo's sensor-laden reality. Will Elon Musk's vision of 1 million robotaxis ever materialize? Or will Waymo's methodical approach slowly but surely dominate the autonomous driving landscape? Only time will tell, but one thing's for certain. The journey has been infinitely more entertaining than anyone expected. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the wild world of autonomous vehicles, make sure to subscribe to Car Curator for more automotive insights, industry analysis, and the occasional roast of overly ambitious tech predictions. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming videos on electric vehicle charging infrastructure, the latest automotive AI developments, and why your car's infotainment system is probably plotting against you. Until next time, keep your eyes on the road, even if your car claims it doesn't need you to.